What's up? Welcome into the Orange Zone podcast, the award-winning Orange Zone podcast. A reminder, you can find every episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find every episode on our CNY Central YouTube page. If you're watching, what's up from the Skycam? I'm Tommy Sladek. This is Samantha Croston, and we have Brendon Hodges on the producer mic. New episodes released Wednesday. We invite you to like, comment, and subscribe for more Orange Zone content. We're your place for all things Orange. And the big story today, and we're just going to jump right into it, that is the LeQuint Allen situation that we're dealing with right now. The heir to Sean Tucker, the rising running back star that we saw glimpses of last year, is facing right now what could possibly be a 2-semester suspension, which would be for the summer and fall semesters. And this is something that we've been very much going after here for almost 24 hours. Syracuse.com was the first to report this. And it's a big deal because, again, it's a big name, but it's also a big deal because it's a very unique situation where you actually have a player suing the university. Now, LeQuint is named as a John Doe in this filed lawsuit. Our CNY Central team was able to figure out that it is LeQuint. So we can see that. We also have confirmation from the Onondaga County District Attorney's Office that LeQuint Allen was charged from a fight stemming from in December. And this is a charge that is being filed under as misdemeanor assault. And what was worked out in court is that 6 months from now, this was official about a few weeks ago, is this will be wiped from his record if he stays out of trouble for 6 months. So 6 months, it's gone. Nothing else after that. If you look him up, there's nothing on his record. But in this case, what he's challenging is a 2-semester suspension by Syracuse University for a fight that happened on South Campus, I believe. And this suspension, he is saying, is ultimately a expulsion, given his situation for playing football and his future plans. And this would derail a lot because it's not like he's even on campus, right? And he's practicing with the team and he's not playing. He's not here at all. Mm-hmm. So Sam, let's open it up to you. What have you made of this since the news dropped last night?
Well, one thing that I want to point out on our bullet point list here that I felt was important and showed a lot about Allen and the fact that he really does want to fix this and mend this and make it right is the fact that he reportedly asked the university for a resolution to his case that didn't involve the suspension. He pushed for SU to put him on a term of disciplinary probation for the rest of his time at Syracuse. He also wanted to volunteer with the Syracuse Police Association League, completing an anti-violence course and fulfilling community service hours. They declined it. So he did everything that he could do, I think, to try and make sure this wasn't the case, but now it is. And I think I'm really interested to see what happens in court here. And I do feel that it is a possibility that this entire 2-semester suspension gets removed, gets erased. And I want to know what the reasoning was. I want to hear more from the university about why they felt that this was the punishment. Because in a way, making it that 2-semester or 2-term suspension, it feels targeted. That he is a football athlete. So, of course, this is going to take away that season. And it also makes me wonder just what kinds of things he's had to think about during this process. Was there a part of him that thought, should I go somewhere else? Because this is only a university suspension. He possibly could have gone somewhere else and played. And I'm sure that the Syracuse football team wanted to do everything in their power to keep him.
Right. And that's a big part about this is it's something through the university, right? And I had a chance to sit down Tuesday afternoon with the district attorney, with Bill Fitzpatrick, who went over the case with me. And what he's calling it here is he says, when you look at the actual events from that night, right, he's like the prosecution's case for saying that Allen was the one that threw this punch is basically shoddy. The eyewitness, in part, because there was some uncooperation from the victim, comes from someone looking through the eye hole of a door, which, as Fitzpatrick said, he's like, you can identify a family member, but when it's a stranger, it's a little bit tough to do in the dead of night. And so his issue now is almost what he calls a two-tier system of justice, right? Where you have people that are literally law enforcement, and then you have a university board basically deciding on a harsher punishment for something that the law itself is saying there's not enough here, right? And for something for them to, which is very standard for someone that does not have a history, for someone that has the accolades and the bullet points like a LaQuinn Allen, where this person's really not in trouble much. Here's what we're going to do. 6 months from now, you stay out of trouble. It's gone. It's gone. Right. And he goes, you're talking about a student that has a 3.0 GPA and higher, part of that all ACC academic team, someone that volunteers, I read in the lawsuit at the Samaritan Center, which I know a lot of SU football players do. So end of the day, this is very unique because this is an important person. This is someone that's listed in the lawsuit as a John Doe, right? Because of the notoriety of the thing. And it's a lot. It's a lot to process because this is ultimately someone's career right now that is almost hanging in the balance. And so forgot to mention this right in the beginning, but just yesterday, Bob Antonacci, Supreme Court judge, put a temporary halt on this suspension until a court date on July 19th. So there is a little bit of a gap here. So there is very much a possibility that this gets overturned or amended or adjusted, like you said, to where it's something more that LaQuinn requested, which would be being very active, being on kind of watch for the rest of his career rather than just 2 semesters that would, very much derail his next season.
One thing that I wanted to say, and maybe then we could react to it, is, as you mentioned, you sat down with DA Fitzpatrick. Maybe we should play that for people to hear.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's give them a big chunk. I'm going to give you really as much as we grab that we think is important for people to understand. Here you go. What stood out to you as
the initial identification which was not LaQuinn, and then the subsequent identification was, yes, I saw the person through the keyhole of a door. And if you've ever been in a hotel room and you look out and you don't tell me, you might recognize a family member, but a complete stranger in the dead of night, even though it's inside, it's just a very difficult situation to make an identification. And then you add the other things. As I said, it's unusual. We like to get medical records right away. We couldn't in this case for some reason. The individual didn't want to sign a waiver for his medical records. As I said, there's no question he was assaulted. He lost a tooth, but there's just no way we could prove that it was LaQuinn. And which brings us to your interest. Why is he suspended? This two-tiered system of justice has got to stop. The professionals in my office assessed the case, looked at the case, and determined that not only is there a reasonable doubt as to his guilt, there's a serious question as to whether or not he was ever involved in this at all. So how you could, parlay that into a suspension based on what? I don't know. If they have some proof that I don't have, I wish they would share it with me.
So you kind of heard some of the logistics, some of the reasoning there, and thanks so much for grabbing that, because I do think it is a really interesting and a very important perspective for us to be hearing how this is viewed in the eyes of the law. And that's the first thing that strikes me is, again, just how nuanced and frankly odd this situation is. How could it be that in the law's eyes, in 6 months, according to what DA Fitzpatrick is saying, this would be essentially nothing? You could try and look this up and you wouldn't find anything. But then the university is able to say this is going to be a suspension. And not only that, everyone is also going to know about it. So there's a factor of this is going to impact your reputation moving forward as well.
Right. And in the lawsuit, he who we learned is Allen, is referring to himself as I, and explaining a situation where a friend of his got punched. He then follows him back to where the person that he says punched him. He says in this lawsuit that 2 punches were thrown at him before he struck. So very much there's a question here of self-defense and where that stands in the line of the code of conduct that SU is dealing with. And at the end of the day, when you're a university, you do have, especially a private university, I think you have some sense of making your judgment call of what you want your student code of conduct to be. I think the question comes down to, does the punishment fit the crime here? And that's the big one. And in the eyes of the law, and I think a few other people with a voice in our community, this is too harsh for what happened and for who this person is and their reputation that stands before them.
Right. The answer to several people would be no. This would not fit the crime. And again, it is, I'm sure, hard for everybody involved. No one was there. No one could see exactly what happened in this situation. But you would think that, not that the university normally would even have to follow the law, because usually they're just two separate entities, but it is interesting to hear that they are on such different pages. And you wonder if, when the university hears the kinds of things that DA Fitzpatrick is saying about how this would be handled in that system, would they feel that maybe that was too harsh? Or what was the reasoning or the logistics of making this decision? Are there certain bullet points that they follow? Are there certain things that they deem this is not okay according to our code of conduct? What was it? Because I'm trying to think, and again, complicated situation, but there is an element of self-defense here. It's not to, I think it would be one of those kind of open and shut cases if it was well, LeQuint started this issue, but that's not the case. The case is that there wasn't an element of self-defense here. I think there was an element of perhaps trying to protect a friend. And I guess I'm just curious what kind of weight that carries in a situation where emotions are high and you're trying to protect not only yourself but others. It's a tough situation.
And from what I read in the lawsuit, just for like a little bit more context, there was that he'd been in an apartment. His friend came in, I guess saying he got punched. He then follows him out with him to, I guess, go possibly confront the individual. I don't know that for sure, but he left. He met up with his friend, left. He then meets with what is our soon-to-be victim after a punch was thrown. So that's an interesting part of what I was reading in the petitioner appeal, which is LeQuint, is that, I guess they had an issue with him going back and confronting the situation, and they were wanting a smarter decision there, which I understand.
And
he writes
too.
in there that he's like, I shouldn't have gone and done it. I should have reacted differently in that sense, instead of going and confronting what was the issue. So again, a lot of moving parts here, a lot going on, and we'll be obviously doing an update here in July, because this is something that I know and I think could be overturned here. And sometimes, every case is different, but some of these things you really just kind of write it off, and it's done. This one feels different. It feels like there could actually really be a case here for LeQuint. So we'll find out. We'll see. But as that was going on, we also had a lot of SU recruiting news happen in the last week, and ultimately it's while they're dealing with a thumbs down in the press, there's also a thumbs up in the press, and that is because of this recruiting class for 2024. So not this coming season, but the next season. Right now on 24/7 Sports, Sam, they are number 37 in the country for the 2024 recruiting class. To put it in perspective, 2023 was in the 90s.
I mean, wow. It's a big difference right there.
Very big difference.
The one thing that I was thinking about, though, as all of this continues to happen, is just the difference in what a verbal commitment actually means now compared to what that meant even like 5 years ago, and I'm not to take away from the excitement or the thumbs uppedness of the situation, but it is really interesting just to think about how much of this actually sticks, how much of this doesn't. There's so much more movement now than there ever used to be.
Big time. And we just saw a perfect example of that, where we saw a 4-star quarterback, Jakari Williams, out of Georgia. He commits to SU on Sunday, and on Monday, a kid who just committed literally 8 days earlier, Brendan Zerbrug, I believe I have that name right, Brendon. He ends up decommitting and going to Northwestern. So the verbal stage, in a way, it doesn't mean anything. So just keep that in mind. A lot of these guys will stick with it. But don't be surprised if we see some moving around. But again, this is a two-way street, right? More guys are going. The more guys that are verbally committed to other schools are going to decommit, and some of them might end up with Syracuse. It easily could happen. So we're going to find out. But ultimately, I think it's a huge improvement from where this past season was in terms of recruiting, and I think there's reason to be excited for sure. Last but not least, Otto's in the Hall of Fame. Where is he?
How about that?
Where is he?
You got a couple Ottos behind you and Otto here.
Let's go with this Otto. Can we get him on camera, Hodges?
I got him on camera.
All right. I would like to officially give Otto his flowers here. We got to give a shout out to the true Syracuse Orange legend. He leads the NCAA in 360 body turns.
You know what I'm talking about.
T-shirt count and completions and vitamin C donations. Yes, SU's own Otto the Orange will be inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame, an interactive museum in Indiana, just a half an hour from downtown Chicago.
Wait, the body turns. That's the best
The
part
body
about
turns is
Otto.
a big part of this guy.
Yup.
He's huge. Brendon, anything you'd like to say about a hero of yours?
You know, hero is understating it. I actually, when Sam and I were at Syracuse, we our capstone, one of our last shows was on National Mascot Day, and Otto the Orange stopped in and took pictures with every one of our news crew. Love the guy. The body turns are huge. If you don't know what we're talking about, whenever you see Otto, they'll put their arms like in to the orange and they'll just spin everything around. Big push-up guy.
Yeah.
Very physically fit. And one of the most unique, if not the most unique mascots in all of college sports, I would argue. You also have the UC Barber Banana Slugs, but hey, they're different, you know.
I sort of wish that we
slugs.
could do a mini series on several of the people who have stepped into the costume and the mascot of Otto.
That would be amazing.
And stories,
right?
and
Like,
stories
who
they
are
have
these
as
people?
Otto.
Yes.
That'd be very cool.
I think that would be an electric mini series. So we'll keep that in mind for over the summer. Maybe a past Otto would be
any
willing
past
to come
Ottos out there.
on.
We can black out your face even. We
Yeah.
can put the blur over. We can change your voice
I
for
don't know
protection.
how private it has to be.
Yeah.
But I want to meet you, please.
So
this
we're-
is your award. Congratulations.
Imagine
This
if it
is
was
like-
like a lifelong NDA.
Keep in mind, this information is like held secret for years. I went to a D3 school, and we didn't know who the mascot was either.
It's crazy.
love
Until
that.
we saw the person like walk into a closet in the stadium, and the mascot walked out. We were like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I should have been the mascot.
I
It would have
think
been a lot of work, but like
you tall?
you're
Like, I
talking
feel like-
huge. You're talking huge scholarship money.
I feel
Yeah.
like you're too tall.
yeah,
to fit
Otto. I
into a
don't.
mascot
Otto. I don't
suit.
think I could do.
But you went to Temple.
I did go to Temple. Yeah, no, Hooter I think I could do. Hooter was a big boy. He was a big owl. But the big one was the St. Joe's Hawk. As Brendon, I feel like you probably know this. They get a full ride. This is a private university. Full ride if you're the Atlanta Hawk, if you're the St. Joe's Hawk, because they're never allowed to stop flapping their wings.
I did see this.
So when you're at like any type of event, it's up, down, up, down. It's crazy.
I don't know if a full ride would be enough for me to make that commitment.
You need some extra. You need an
I
NIL
need some
deal.
extra bills.
You need some NIL deals
Yes.
on top of that.
My girlfriend's, a relative of my girlfriend was the Quaker at Penn.
Oh,
One of the first. And he told me all of these ridiculous stories about like how he met his wife. Then my girlfriend's relative married this guy and told me all these stories about him as the mascot there. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what is this? Seems like a hard life, but also it's not dull.
Right.
Not dull at all.
I believe not. I believe not. Before we get to producer Brendon's trivia and we wrap things up, I did mean to mention Sire Torrance, prime example of the verbal commits. So he pulled back. He's like our high school superstar right now in Central New York for Christian Brothers Academy. He is so fun to cover. So disappointing that we won't be covering him here at SU, but end of the day, everyone's got to do what's best for them, and to him, he's going to Michigan State.
Happy for
And
him.
we wish Sire all the best, man. I would love to see him go and make a real difference there with the
Is
Spartans.
Marquette in Michigan?
Marquette is in Wisconsin.
Well,
Because
hey,
were you thinking of Symir, his older brother?
Wouldn't it be interesting? Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, if that's in Michigan too, and he ends up coming back, wouldn't that be full circle?
It really would. It really would. All right, trivia time. Let's do it.
Well, as you guys can see on the notes, this episode's trivia unofficially sponsored by the Mascot Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Yes. Excluding the GOAT of GOATs, the greatest mascot in all the lands of college sports, at least. Excluding Otto,
Okay.
there are 8 NCAA Division I mascots in the Hall of Fame. Which conference has the most out of those 8?
Ooh.
Wow.
I might need that pen there. Which conference? There's 8 of them, right?
There are 8 Division I mascots in the Hall of Fame, not including Otto. Otto will be the 9th.
Can I use that real quick?
Absolutely.
All right, let's start making our list. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say I feel like the Nittany Lions in there. Maybe. I'm not entirely confident about that, but just to write it down. So that's Penn State. So that would be 1 for Big Ten. I feel like the Oregon Duck.
I could totally see that.
Yeah,
That feels like a classic.
right? It just feels like I don't know if it's so that would be Pac-12.
What about the Duke Blue Devil?
He could be in there.
Not enough.
No, I think he could. I think he
I
could.
don't know why that one kinda sticks out to me.
I think Bucky's probably in there.
I
Ohio
should,
State.
I should mention to you guys as well, this isn't just like mascots in full costume. This includes like mascots that are people wearing not like the Notre Dame Irishman or the Florida Seminole or there's another one that.
So it can't be like a person then.
No, it can be.
Oh.
They have a category for that.
So is
Wait,
Notre
help me
Dame's in
out.
there?
I'm just throwing examples out there. I'm not telling you who's in or who's out.
Wait, I think I need that explained
So
again.
like,
What are you
it's
saying?
not a full-on costume like the Oregon Duck, but it is a like. Say, Sam, you're wearing like, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You have like a green outfit, but it's a physical person wearing it. So it's not a big bulky costume. It's just a person in an outfit.
Yeah.
So like, if you were the
All right.
mascot for Colgate, you would dress as a Raider, but without like the caricature mask. It would be your face people see.
Okay.
Okay. I do like the Blue Devil. I think Seminole. I think Notre Dame is probably in there.
Yeah, I think so too.
So let's write that down.
It's weird because honestly, the first thing for some reason that came to my head, just knowing Brendon, I was like, is it just the ACC and just let it rip? But I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
So we got 2 there, 2 there.
What
It
about
could be
the
AC
Georgia Bulldog?
Georgia Bulldog. Ooh, I like that a lot. Love that.
I feel like
what
that's
does
a
Alabama even have?
It's like
Crimson
an elephant.
Tide,
Yeah, he's lame.
I don't think that's nothing compared to the Bulldog. They normally have They normally have like a little
We have
bulldog.
somebody
Yeah.
who went to Alabama that works with us.
Yeah, I know, and she'd know I'd say that just because they have so much happiness from their athletics. We just got
I
to
don't know.
bring them down.
They don't need the mascot.
We
Georgia's
gotta bring
already
them down.
Georgia's already bringing them down enough in what matters.
Okay. All right. So again, we're talking about the 8 that are in the Hall of Fame. What conference has the most? Let's try to get 8 on there just to give us a feel, and then we'll guess.
Okay.
Who else can we
I'll
have?
just rip out other ones. I don't. All the ones I'm thinking of, I feel like they aren't good enough. But what about like LSU?
like their Tiger?
Yeah, maybe.
He could be in there. He could be in there.
What about?
The Tar Heel.
I mean, that's.
It's
I don't know.
I don't know if that's big enough to me. To me, it feels like it's going to be an older school.
What
right?
about like?
older schools that have been
Nah, this isn't big enough
That-
either. What about like TCU?
like the
A
Horned
little-
Frog?
I don't know. I don't know why I'm drawn to the animal.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
That's interesting. Iowa, the Hawkeye.
That's see, that one's okay actually.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe.
But what about the Hoosier?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay.
Absolutely yes.
So that's another one for Big Ten. Let's go Big Ten.
Okay.
Let's go Big Ten. I think it's probably a split between them and ACC. Big Ten. Final answer.
So
wait. I'm gonna go ACC.
Okay.
I'm gonna go against you just so I could just
Got it.
do
Got
it.
Okay, so I'm going to give you guys every conference that has a mascot in there, starting with the lower number. Tied for third with 1 mascot apiece. Conference USA,
Okay.
the Western Kentucky Hilltopper,
Nice. Interesting.
the Colonial Athletic Association, the Delaware
Blue Hen.
Whoa.
It's like it's
Oh.
called UDO or something
I was
like
not
that.
expecting
Huh.
that. Okay.
Second place, the SEC with 2. You didn't
Georgia?
no. The Auburn Tiger.
They're all like half the SEC's Tigers.
I know,
I don't
that's
like
messed
that.
up.
I don't like
The
that.
second one is the Tennessee Volunteer,
Oh,
pretty good.
Should have
It's
gotten
pretty
that one.
good.
Should have gotten that one.
Pretty good. I'm writing it down. I don't know
which
why, but I
leaves
am.
us with number 1. And I'm going to stretch this
So
out
it's a
to make
tie?
you both feel bad. Sam, the number is 4. I will allow you to pick 4 ACC mascots you think are in the Hall of Fame. Tommy, the same to you with the Big Ten.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I'm curious as to who you guys say here.
All right. So for Notre, here I'll help
For-
you. So this is what we wrote down.
I think for ACC, I would go
Duke,
Blue Devil, Fighting Irish.
Fighting Irish,
Wait, does Otto count? Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Otto.
Otto's in the
Otto's
Otto.
third.
I didn't know if we were including Otto.
Yeah.
Mm,
Tar Heel, Boston College Eagles.
You have
No.
the Demon
Virginia
Deacon in
Tech.
there, too.
no,
Demon Deacon.
no, Tar Heel.
Tar Heel. You also have the Virginia Tech
Hokie,
Hokies.
yeah.
That's a good one. The
Cavaliers.
Cavaliers,
The
but that's like
Cavaliers,
nothing.
Yeah.
The Yellow Jacket at Georgia
No. No.
I think.
Tech. Pick
yeah.
your top 4.
I think the 3 that we already mentioned,
Duke,
Duke
Notre-
Blue Devils,
Notre
Fighting
Dame, Otto.
Irish, Otto, and Tar Heels.
Tar Heel. Okay.
All right.
And I will be the Nittany Lion. I will be the Buckeyes. I will be the Indiana Hoosiers.
I mean, those are great.
And
It's going to be that.
and Boilermaker. No.
The Hoosiers.
You
That's
better hope
gotta be in
Purdue
there.
doesn't hear this podcast by the time the game rolls around. Are you going to pick the Golden Gopher? Or are you going to just, like, mess with that again?
Golden. I'm not. Oh.
The Golden Gopher was-
Wisconsin Badgers.
Golden Gopher
Final
was a-
answer.
I will-
Those 4.
The Golden Gopher was a nominee this year. Respect to the Gopher.
In respect to the Gophers. Penn State Bowl Part 2.
The winner of the first and possibly last edition of Mascot Trivia on the Orange Zone podcast is Tommy Sladek.
Oh.
The Big Ten,
Those 4. Did I get those 4 right?
you got 3 of the 4 right.
Wow.
The Penn State Nittany Lion, the Bucky Badger from Wisconsin,
Yep.
Brutus the Buckeye, and the Nebraska Cornhusker.
Oh.
And as for Sam, you can take solace in this. Otto the Orange is the inaugural ACC mascot to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
See, that really surprises me a little
That is
bit.
a little bit shocking. You know what, to me?
Nothing else.
This I'm noticing is very much. There needs to be a very rich football history here
Yeah.
that's been for a while, and so I feel like it's only a matter of time for the ACC.
I disagree because the other mascot that went in this year was a minor league baseball mascot.
Okay, then I need to meet the board. I need to meet the
the
voting
board.
board here and have a discussion with
Wait,
them.
Hoosiers was a no?
That was a no. It was
Okay.
not the Indiana Hoosiers.
Wait, so then what was the 4th one?
I
then?
told you it was Nebraska Cornhusker.
Yeah, I'm only at 2 now.
No, you had the 3. You had Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Right.
Oh, Wisconsin wasn't. Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
Bucky Badger.
Great. That feels good. Feels good. Just feels nice to win one.
Hey, yo.
That's the Orange Zone Podcast. Tommy Sladek, Samantha Croston, Brendon Hodges. We will be back in some form next week, and at the very least with keeping an eye on this LaQuinn Allen update. So that'll be something we're following very closely this July. So stay with us, and that'll be a transition into a big fall and a big August for training camp. So stay with us. Enjoy your summer. Peace out. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.